Hey, you're listening to A Chat with Heart. I'm your host, Christina Martin. I'm a singer-songwriter, curious human. I live on a dirt road in rural Nova Scotia with my partner in crime, Dale, and our calico cat, Olivia. This podcast is basically just me chatting with people I admire. I like to ask questions that feed my curiosity, and my guests have all taught me something. They either crack me up or they punch me right in the feels. If you've got questions, comments, or a burning desire to join the conversation, please call my Heartbeat hotline, day or night. It's 1-902-669-4769. You can also email me at christinamartinmusic@gmail.com. And if you want to throw a little love my way and help keep this thing going, visit my Patreon page. That's how artists like me get paid. Thanks for showing up. Warning, heartfelt content ahead. If we just talk about it, we could shine a light, we could break a dark day. If we just talk about it, we can cut away, we can make a brighter day. Hey friends, it's Christina here. Welcome back to A Chat with Heart. I'm very glad that you're here tuning in. Before I dive in, quick little life update. I've got some shows coming up I'm really looking forward to in Nova Scotia in September. So this weekend, I'm actually heading up to King's Theatre to do a little some silly promo videos. The King's Theatre in Annapolis Royal, September 6th. It's a Saturday, and I got to tell you, I love playing these like beautiful old and revived like venues. It's a stunning one for sure, and I've been trying to get back for a while, and it's finally worked out. So the night before, September 5th, we're going to be playing at the Marigold Cultural Center with, and then on the Sunday, I'll just jump ahead. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, shows Nova Scotia. Sunday, we're doing a matinee, like post-brunch performance at the Carlton in Halifax. So it's a big weekend, and I'm kind of not doing many shows up until then. So I really hope we get a lot of people out, and tell your friends, and make it a adventure. Heck, do all 3 shows if you can. Well, you're going to get most of the same songs because we're actually playing with my trio. I say it's my trio. I mean, I don't own the trio, but it'll be a trio of myself on guitar, electric and acoustic, and my incredible life and music collaborator, Dale Murray, on guitar, electric guitar, and the wonderfully talented, amazing musician of the year last year on Prince Edward Island, but now residing back in Amherst, Hannah Melanson, who performed at the on the live Storm album in Alderney Landing with us. And we've just been really enjoying our time with Hannah. We've been rehearsing every week with her, and just so glad we met. And so that's the kind of core of the performance. And then to top it all off, we've got an incredible string trio, with string arrangements by, and she'll be performing as well, Karen Graves, who did all the string arrangements for Storm, the album and the live, the charts, the arrangements for the live performance, the live album as well. And so that's going to be really special. You don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. I'll have to be there. And I'm just so excited to get back in the room with all of these musicians and play for you. And Dale and I've just got the master for a fun cover song that I'll be releasing soon. But I'm just gonna say that I'm not gonna spoil it. And then Dale is just finishing up. We've been working on this beautiful, beautiful version of a song called Golden Tears that I wrote after an invitation from United Way to write this song about an incredible woman and her life, her story. So Golden Tears with strings. Hannah Melanson plays on that as well. It's a very emotional track, and I look forward to sharing it. And as many of you know, as you're you're with me on my Patreon as a free or paid member, that's where you'll get to the sneak listen to hear it first. And I'm excited about that. Okay. So I'm also getting ready to head out on a bit of a combo trip. I'll be doing some songwriting, dog sitting, and hopefully soaking up some quiet time and creative inspiration by a pool. And I also have to tell you, we went recently, my Dale and myself and our friends Liz and Paul from Fredericton, we all went to see, we drove to a very remote location in New Brunswick to see James Mullinger perform his comedy at Harvey Hall. It's in, I think it's Albert County. Don't quote me on that. It's near Alma, New Brunswick, along the Bay of Fundy. What an incredible space. Kind of like a very old hall, all wood inside. Foundation could use some work, but like the hall itself is just incredible. And James, of course, hilarious, heartwarming as always. If you ever get the chance to see him perform, grab your friends and get tickets and go. Your life will be better for it. And I'm also a big fan of James's book, Brit Happens. He has a new book coming. It's in the works. I don't know how far along, but Brit Happens is remarkable. And, he shares about his story and in the evolution of his career, but also how he ended up in New Brunswick from London. So check him out, James Mullinger. Love him. Now, today's episode is another special one. I'm joined by my friend, freelance writer and community advocate, Lola Augustine Brown. Lola has lived a big, bold life from England to Truro, Nova Scotia. It's about an hour from where we live. And she's got the stories to prove it. She's written about everything from sex and spirituality to food insecurity and family life. And her work has been published all over the place. Places like Today's Parent, Canadian Geographic, USA Today 10 Best, Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, and more. We talk about her unexpected path to becoming a writer, her beautiful and deeply impactful work in the community, including a backpack program tackling food insecurity, and how travel has shaped her as a writer and as a human. There's also some really honest conversation about the creative process, writing rituals, friendship, and resilience. Now, just a gentle heads up, in this episode, we also speak candidly about our experiences, both of our experiences with sexual abuse. So if that's something that you're not in a place to hear right now, please take care of yourself and maybe come back to this one day when the time feels right for you. All right, with that said, settle in, make yourself a cup of something comforting, and enjoy this heartfelt, inspiring chat with the one and only Lola Augustine Brown. Woo! Okay, cool. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, Lola. Okay. Lola?
Yes.
You know this about yourself. You're a freelance writer and editor. You're a mom of 3. You originally hail from England, but now you call Truro, which is the hub of Nova Scotia, your home. You've written for Travel and Leisure, Canadian Geographic, Toronto Star, Globe and Mail. They're the dogs. That's perfect.
Sorry.
We're gonna keep that. It's part of real life. Anyway, to name a few places that you've written for. But you've also made a real impact in your community. More on that in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Um, what first sparked your love for writing? Like, what did little Lola always dream of doing? Did you always have your eye on the horizon, or was this like, is this like,
No, I
no,
fell
what
into this.
did you?
Though my grandma did say I was writing magazines when I was 7 and 8 at her house when she'd have me over. But
Oh,
I actually thought I was going to be a social worker, and I was doing a degree in social policy, thinking I was going to manage group homes or something like that. And then I was in the university bookstore, and there was a book on a table, and it was called Magazine Writing, The Hobby That Pays. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I picked it up and I read this book from cover to cover. And it even had a list of like good magazines for first time writers to approach in the back of it. And I think you know about like you used to get magazines on the tube in London, like these free magazines that they would give out.
yeah,
And there was
yeah.
one called Girl About Town, and that was one of the suggested markets. And I wrote a story on spec for them, and it was just about being part of a live studio audience for TV shows and how fun that was. And I wrote the story, sent it to them, didn't really think anything about it. And then a couple of months later, I was moving out of an apartment and the phone was ringing. And I picked up the phone, and it was the magazine offering me £100 for the story and asking if I wanted to have a column with them. That was it. That's how it started.
Were you like a full, like, what was 100 pounds back
Yeah, it was good.
then?
Like,
Like,
this was like 30 years ago, right? So,
that's
yeah, it
pretty
was
awesome.
great. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. And then that was how I got started. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. And I just started doing more freelancing. And then by the time I finished my degree, I wasn't going to be a social worker anymore. I was going to be a writer. And then I did a year sabbatical at university running the student magazine, and it just went from there.
Well, that's interesting that now that like I know a little bit more about that background because in your life, like I'm not saying you've done social work, but you kind of approach a lot of the things you incorporate into your life with that background of caring and conscientiousness. Like you've had foster children in your
Yep.
home. You've fought, you know, for them on behalf of them when they can't. And then we are going to talk a little bit later about your impact in the community in Truro. So like yeah, that's pretty badass that it's
Yeah,
influenced. It still had that influence in you. Do you know what I mean? Like I went to university and
sure.
studied psychology, German culture and civilization, and minored in business without knowing I was going to be a touring singer-songwriter
Yeah.
predominantly in Germany and, you know, an entrepreneur and all those things. Like no idea, but hey, came in handy.
Well, everything feeds into it, right? You don't know at the time how certain things are going to affect you or what they're going to do, and then you just roll with it. I think if you have that entrepreneurial mindset, or you want to be doing stuff for yourself, and you're kind of trying to nurture your creativity, everything feeds into it, even the most obscure things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you traded the comfort of UK castles and cozy neighborhood pubs and cobblestones for our like coastlines and our, I don't know, our cozy little communities. But can you talk a little bit more about what brought you to Truro, Nova Scotia, and why? Yeah, like why'd you stay? What?
Okay,
I'm
so I
happy you did.
never
I'm
ever
happy you did.
thought I would be happy in a small community like Truro. So Truro is
Yeah,
like what, like 12,000 people or something? Like
sure. Is
fairly
it?
big for Nova Scotia. I think
Are
maybe it's a bit
they?
more,
Are they
maybe
going to
more
be
since
offended?
COVID where everybody moved in. I think, it's not that many people, but
We're gonna get people writing in. We're gonna get people like, it's actually 78,000. You know
maybe it's
how?
more than that.
No.
But it was like before COVID, it was lower, that's for sure. And it's oh, okay. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
Hang on.
We are friends.
Just the neighbors are having a
with-
party, and all their children, all their adult children come back, and of course they're just parking just outside. Anyway, okay, dogs are done, I think. Okay, so when I finished university with my first husband, I decided we were going to go and get married in Las Vegas, buy a 57 Chevy and drive across America and then go back to London.
Perfect.
Went to Las Vegas, did a lot of stuff we shouldn't do, spent a year there.
Whoa,
And
whoa. Like, sorry, I'm sorry to interject, but a lot of stuff you shouldn't have done. You shouldn't.
Well, I mean, I was 21 living in Las Vegas. I don't know if there's a better time in your life that you could live in Las Vegas. We went to a lot of clubs. We saw a lot of bands. We had a lot of fun, and we fell in with like this crowd of people who work for Cirque du Soleil. So we had a really fun time, and we got into the arts community. I ended up staying there for a year. I chickened out of marrying him. But then during that time, we'd come to Canada for a weekend and went to Vancouver, and it just pissed with rain for the 3 days we were there. But I was like, wow, why have I never even really heard about Canada? Canada seems great. Like, I just had no concept. Like, I knew it was a
No?
country, but I'd never thought about going there. Anyway, so in that time, liked Canada and thought, you know what, can't really get a green card. That was the plan. I wanted to stay in Las Vegas. I loved it in Las Vegas. Couldn't get a green card. And then it turned out that if we applied for Canada, the immigration consultant was like, yeah, $1,500. You can both get in. We can get you and your husband into Canada, you know, if you marry him. And so anyway, did all this stuff. And then during that time, did go and live in Australia for 2 years and did that work in tourism visa that you can do in the Commonwealth. And then came back, lived in Vancouver, got divorced, had a whole thing, and then I moved to Nova Scotia on my own with my baby, who is now 18, but was like, I think 14, 15 months old at the time, and started this life on the East Coast as a single parent, which is the best thing I could have done because obviously everyone's super friendly here.
Mm.
And then ended up reconnecting with my boyfriend from university, Ian, who's moved out here. We wanted to buy a farm, moved to the country, and we had 12 acres, tried to farm it. We're shit farmers. And we then moved into Truro, which is the nearest town, and it all worked out.
Wow.
And I really like it here. Like, I never imagined I'd be happy living in a small town, but I am. It's a great place to live. We have everything you need except good restaurants, I think.
Does it feel kind of big city after the homesteading, like trying to back to the lander?
It did a bit, but there isn't much in Truro. So like, and Truro was still our kind of central place, but Truro's got a lot better since we moved out this way, though.
It
I
has.
think you would attest to that. Like, in the last 10 years, it's really grown an awful lot. We have 2 Starbucks, which is kind of crazy.
It is wild.
Yeah.
And you've played a part in that. I do want to talk a little bit about Heart. And you started a backpack program that's helping tackle food insecurities in your town. So can you share with my Little Heartbeat listeners how that began and the impact that you've seen it have, like, on your community with these kids and their families?
Sure. So I have a lot of kids. So like, when my youngest is still in elementary school until June, and me and his dad, we were volunteering at the school breakfast program, which all the schools in Nova Scotia get some kind of breakfast program, I think. And kids were coming in on a Monday and telling us they hadn't eaten all weekend. And they didn't mean they hadn't eaten a lot. They meant there was just no food at home. And a lot of, we have terrible child poverty rates in Nova Scotia. I mean, everywhere in Canada, right? But like, it's really bad here. I think it's like 1 in 5 children goes to bed hungry here. Mm. And so, through no fault of the child's own, and often it's not the fault of the parents. A lot of these parents are trying the best they can with really limited resources. And I'm struggling financially right now with the cost of food as a parent. And we're not, at that level, both have incomes and stuff. So anyway, and then there was a little girl came in and told my husband that it had been her birthday over the weekend. And she'd said, oh, did you have a cake? And she was 6, and she told him she'd never had a birthday cake. And it was just, we were getting these stories all the time. And so we decided to try and spearhead this thing at the school, where on a Friday night, the kids who are identified by the school's plus worker who deals with families in crisis as being the most food insecure would take a backpack home on a Friday filled with enough food and snacks for the weekend. And initially we started doing 20 backpacks, and now we're up to 36 a week. And so since the program started a year and a bit ago, I'd say we've done over 1,000 backpacks to kids. And the impact is that those kids know somebody cares about them. It's not just about giving them food. They know someone cares. And it's been big. And I've had a lot of community support, and it's been really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, like, what would be some tips that you would share, if you could share with listeners who, maybe they see something or experience something similar in their community? It may not be, the same specific situation, but they want to make a difference. They just don't know how.
I think you just got to do it. Just do it, because
that's right.
We've never had a lot of support. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of support, and like, I was surprised. It's surprising how many people don't support feeding children, because of I had feedback that because the majority of the children in this program that I created are Indigenous, I have had feedback that these kids get enough, and which
Okay.
is ridiculous. A hungry kid is a hungry kid. It shouldn't matter who the child is or where they're from.
Hmm.
And so I didn't get the support I expected. I expected people to be more gung ho about like helping us get this going, but it wasn't really, there wasn't enough support. I expected people to step up and people didn't want to. So in the end, basically just did this with myself and a friend and my husband and just a few other people helping here and there, but we just got it going. And it's been way more work than I anticipated at the start.
Yeah.
And the program will end when my kid finishes school and somebody else hopefully is going to step in.
Yeah.
But it's just, you just have to do it. And I think if you have the intention to do something good and you have a basic plan, you can usually pull it off. I think if you just have but someone has to just take charge and do these things because otherwise they're not going to happen.
Yeah.
And there is enough support in the community in other ways. Like I may not have got the support where I thought I was going to find it, but like people reached out, like the Rotary Association in
Rotary
Truro
Club.
they've given me so much support, and they even made us the feature kind of charity community organization and basically bankrolled most of the program for the year. And then Nova Scotia Power reached out. They had a grant and we just scrabbled it together. And
Yeah.
even the airport had a food security thing last year. They gave us a couple of grand. Like you just have to do it. You just have to do it because there's so many people who feel like they could do something. You just have to get on it and do it.
Yeah, it sounds like so looking for support resources in places you maybe wouldn't have thought of. Like you could start with the big chains, but maybe it's not the big chains. Maybe it's local businesses and
yeah,
and that's been mention.
Exactly, and we have done that, and yeah, I just feel like so many people will sit there and be like, "Oh, this is terrible." But they don't actually do anything to make it less terrible. They just want to complain about it. Or, I've been involved in things in the past, like when we had the Syrian refugees come into Canada, I was involved in a group. I was the lone atheist and there were 3 churches and we got together and we helped 4 families come to Canada. And it's interesting because like those families have all done well, like not all are thriving to this degree, but one of them owns a restaurant in Truro and like they've really run with it. But when we were doing this and we were trying to raise the money to bring people in, you get all these people like saying stuff like, well, what about the veterans? What about the homeless here? And these people don't do shit for anyone. It's like the people helpers help, right? Like if you care about not just this one group of people. And it just takes the people to stand up and do it. I think there's so many people that just want to diss everything and sit on their asses and complain about all this shit. Or they might put a fuck Trudeau sticker on the back of their truck because obviously they really want to fuck Trudeau. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
it's the hair. It's the hair. Who knows? Yeah. But, so many people want to complain about shit, but they don't want to fix anything. Yeah. And the government isn't stepping up. There's somebody has to do this stuff. So, yeah. But I'm exhausted. And I'm ready for the program to finish.
Well, that's interesting that, I think sometimes there is probably also a fear of starting something, fear of commitment, which it sounds like what I love about that you've said, there is actually an expiration in terms of your involvement. You're already willing to get it started and go. And like with a lot of volunteer organizations, I've heard of people coming in and then they're like, after 2 years, I'm out, somebody else can step in.
Yep.
And that's also great. Like it doesn't have to be something you take on for the rest of your life, but it can be like a part of your life where you've made, you just contributed your time to something and then moved on.
And I think volunteer burnout is real too, right?
Yeah,
like it's,
for sure.
It's hard because I think in any volunteer organization, there's never enough people, and there's never enough people who take the weight. It always falls on more certain people's shoulders. So I think having time off before I start anything else would be a good idea.
Yeah, let's get back to, we want you to be rested and recharged, and we want you to write more personally for yourself.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then also obviously you're writing for yourself, making money, but also you write for other people. And so I kind of put together this like segment of like fun and gritty travel writing questions for Lola.
Okay.
So, and you're probably expecting them to be shocking and like titillating, but they're probably not. They're probably like Super tame and normal. But
I
who
can't believe
knows?
that coming from you.
Yeah, no, really. This is a very clean podcast. Actually, we haven't. No, there were some curse words so far, right? You might have. We can't
Mild curse
mild.
words.
We can swear. We can say whatever we want on this podcast. And I think that's what people appreciate. If anyone's listening. I want to know what the weirdest assignment you've ever taken as a travel. You don't strictly write about food and travel, but that is something you
Mostly,
specialize.
I'd say
Yeah.
mostly these days. But yes, I'll write about anything. Anyone who pays me,
Yeah.
being a freelance writer is like, I'm just anything for anyone. I've written, God, 2,000 words on chicken wing trends. Like, I'll write anything.
Oh,
But
yum.
yeah,
Was that?
but not for a long time. Like when I was starting out, I used to write for a lot of trade magazines that were really, really boring. But it was money. Money is money.
Yes.
I had a long time. I wrote a lot of porn. I wrote the letters for a lot of porn magazines for a lot years, probably a
Ooh,
decade of
what do
doing that
you
stuff.
what do you mean you wrote the letters for porn? I want
They're
to know
not
more about
real.
this.
They're not real.
Oh, like you. Oh, so I don't feel so bad when people don't call my heartbeat hotline. So like they're planted? Those letters are
Yeah.
just
I mean, like, it's funny. Okay, so
amazing.
I was at Atlantic News the other day, our only magazine store in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I saw they still have all like the girly mags with the like covers on it, like the bags. They're in those bags with the
Yeah.
open covers, so you can't see. And I'm amazed some of these magazines still go, like what with the internet and the availability of porn, but I guess it's still there. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a long time since I've written that stuff. But I used to write so much stuff for that, like for magazines like Leg Show and Just 18 and all
Like,
these different magazines.
whoa, can you give me like an example of like what a letter might contain? Just like
Yeah, it'll be like,
briefly.
I mean, one of my favorite ones I ever wrote was about Mormons coming to the door
Okay.
and this girl deciding to let the Mormons in and she just like rocked their world and
Like
seduced the two Mormons. Yeah.
oh my gosh, that is awesome. I love this. I want you to do more of this. I do have a dream personally of, because when I was a kid, I always I for a
Into
brief
porn? That's terrible.
I want to write porn. No, I when I was in grade 6, I started writing a little romance series and just reading it to the kids on the playground, and then the teacher caught wind, and then she was like, "Well, why don't you read it to the class?" And then she shut me down because it was a little too racy. Um, and and that honestly though, the way the teacher made me feel about it, like she took me out into the hallway and was like, imagine if I told your parents what you, speaking of which, she was Mormon, but anyway, that aside. So I don't know if I could, but I think it would be so fun, but to do like, actually I'd want to do a comedy romance series, like super over the top.
A friend of mine and we were gonna like, gosh, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15. We were gonna do like an app. It was always like a choose your own adventure, but like porn stories for women.
Yes. What?
We
Why
were
have
gonna,
you not pursued this?
I think it just something happened. Like we started doing it, we're doing the research, and then it just fell apart. But like, it was a good idea,
Yeah.
I think.
I think
But
it's
anyway.
still a great idea. I wonder if it's since, because I don't know if you agree with this or not, but there's something like, it's interesting to think of ideas as floating around in the whatever, the sky or the air.
Yeah.
And if you don't catch it, like it comes through you, but if you don't actually do anything with it, somebody else will kind of,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So okay, so that's really fascinating. I love that, and I want you to go back to that kind of writing if you can, or bring me into it.
Sure, yeah.
But is that the weirdest? Would that be the weirdest assignment that you've ever taken, and one where you thought, like, how is this my life? This is fucking.
Okay, so when I was young, when I just started out writing, and so when I was living in, let's say, Vegas, so like 21, 22, I kind of specialized in doing weird stories like, oh, isn't America crazy stories? Because this is back when the internet wasn't what it was, and there'd be magazines in the UK like Bizarre, which would be magazines about all these bizarre stuff that happens all over the world. And you could still do stuff that not everyone knew about. And so I remember going to write about Jello wrestling in New Orleans.
Mm.
And that was super fun. But I do all kinds of crazy shit. Anything that was weird and wonderful. One of the craziest things that was so good, and I I went back and did it again. There's a race through Nevada called the Silver State Classic, and it still happens where they close off. I think it's 91 miles of highway. Like it's a long time since I've been there, so maybe it's not that length. But they close off the highway, and you can just race as fast as you want. Like they have speed categories, but
Oh,
you take your car. And then I went and did this, and it was amazing. It
yeah.
was so fun because it started, I'm going to say in Ely, Nevada, and
Okay.
then ended it somewhere like up Reno way, Ely and something else. Anyway, but where the town it ended, there were all these cat houses. And so
Hmm.
the after parties were in the whorehouses. Anyway, but
Ooh.
there was so many layers of interesting stuff because at the time as well, the first time I went, John Schneider, who played Bo Duke in Dukes of Hazzard,
Okay. Yeah.
or was he Luke Duke? Anyway, he was one of them. He used to race in this race in a General Lee, Dodge Charger replica of Dukes of Hazzard car, and yeah, it was just crazy.
Wild.
And
That's wild.
yeah, it was wild. I used to do wild stuff, and it was so fun. Or like, I did this story for a UK magazine about this porn director who basically he went to like Rochester Institute of Technology and did film and studied with. He went to Sundance and studied at wrote with Robert Redford or something, and then he suddenly took this detour in his life and became a porn director and won all these porn awards and spent time at his house in LA. Like, did all this crazy shit. It was so fun.
Wow. So you don't do
Yeah,
crazy shit anymore?
I have children now. I mean, some crazy shit, not as crazy.
We don't. I mean, yeah, I might know some of your crazy shenanigans,
Yeah.
but we can all have secrets.
Yes.
Um, okay, so what was there a destination that was not what the tourism board promised it would be, for better or for worse?
Yes. I've had a few of those. And so, okay, so if I agree to take a trip, like it has to
Yeah.
be worth my while going and everything else. But occasionally you get sold something like it's going to be this, and then you get there and it's just not at all. And so if something is really terrible, I'm not going to write about, oh, this was terrible. I just won't write about it. And they've wasted their money bringing me to this place. But there was one I went on this trip to Lake Havasu in Arizona.
Okay.
Okay. And so famous for, like how someone in Arizona bought London Bridge and brought it to America. Do you know this story?
No, that happened?
Okay. So
What?
somebody bought London Bridge and they thought they were getting Tower Bridge, the bridge in London with the towers that looks like a castle. They
Yeah.
thought they were buying that, but they bought this like really shit bridge. Well, it's not shit. I'm sure it was great, but it was just a regular bridge and it just had a few like stone lions on it or whatever.
Was it in
But
London?
yeah, and it
Okay.
was. And that was in Lake Havasu in Arizona.
Wait. Question.
Okay.
Did they have to replace the bridge? Is that why they were like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
let's sell it. Let's sell it. And was the allure to this bridge like the London Bridges song? Like London Bridge is falling
Yeah,
down?
maybe. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I just looked it up. So it was built in the 1830s, and it came to
Look at you, little fact
Lake
checker.
Havasu in 1968.
You could also
Anyway.
find out how many people are in Truro while you're at it.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
Population.
I'm telling you.
Truro. Okay.
You don't
I'm gonna be
ask
so
me.
wrong, aren't I?
Don't ask me anything about Port Howe, where I live, or Cumberland County.
I was
Okay.
right. Well, 12,954. So they brought this London Bridge to Lake Havasu. And I got asked if I wanted to go and do this trip to, this part of Arizona and go to Lake Havasu and to Yuma and
Okay.
do all this cool shit, right? And so I was like, well, it sounds great. I think 310 to Yuma had just come out a couple of years before, a really good film and stuff. Anyway, so we go to Lake Havasu and all the activities they had planned for us were lake activities, like, jet skiing and stuff. Anyway, we get to Lake Havasu and the lake was it was a bit windy and they were like, there was just nothing to do. They were like, I'm sorry, we have to cancel all the things. There's nothing to do. You should just go to the next place. I'm like, that's so weird. Like
Okay.
you're a tourism department and you can't find things for people to do that aren't on the lake. This is just, and I got
Yeah.
sunstroke the first day because it's Arizona and it was really crazy.
Oh
Yeah, it was just that was kind of crap and it was just not but also I went to Cabo and I was asked to write a farm to table dining experience story about going to Cabo. And when we got there, they'd done a bait and switch. So you get your itinerary before you go and you know all the things you're going to see. And when I got there, they had changed the itinerary and basically had us eating at a different hotel restaurant for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like, who does that? Who goes on vacation and be like, let me check out all the hotel restaurants in Cabo? Like, it was crap. So like
Yeah.
sometimes it's not
Disappointing.
what you think it's going to be, but usually I'm a very much a believer that you can find the fun anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
That's
you
apparent
know,
in your writing.
right. But also you just like, I can find things to do in most places. So I will try and make the best out of any situation.
Well, one of my I'll say one of my favorite stories, I guess, but they're all awesome, that you wrote was for the Toronto Star about your trip to Ecuador as an atheist,
I love
and
that. I love that trip.
and how you fell in love with the magic of, is it keto?
Yeah.
So like traveling to a place like Ecuador, like does so are there trips like that where you're like fundamentally like my life has changed, or
Yeah.
maybe it affects how you decide to travel and the gigs you pick in the future?
Yes,
Like,
for sure. Like, so I'm always looking for, I want to tell the untold story, which sounds cheesy because these days there are a few, like everything's everywhere, right? But I think a lot of people will go into these places and looking for exactly the same things. And they just, I'm the kind of person, like if I go on a trip, I'm setting my alarm at 5 to go and find sunrise in this amazing place. Like when I went to Northern Ireland, we went to Giant's Causeway at like 4 p.m. It was rammed. You couldn't even see the stones. There were so many people. But as we were leaving, I'd said to the like National Trust guy at the site, I said, so what's the earliest you can come down here? Can I come down for sunrise? And he was like, yeah, totally. Like it'll be pitch black. But if you have a flashlight, just walk across the roof of the visitor center because it was all like a grass sod roof thing and you can get down there. And so I set my alarm and I went down there for sunrise and there was one person there taking photos, but I watched the sunrise over Giant's Causeway and it was just so incredible. The stones were glowing. It was totally Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy album cover. It
mhm.
was just so awesome. And I just want to find those unique things anywhere I go and make it a magical story. Ecuador was amazing because it was my first time in South America. I went there, it was really to cover the food scene, but I just fell in love with how spiritual everything is. Like you go in every shop and there's like a little burner of incense. And the thing that made Ecuador really special for me was like, okay, first off, I got altitude sickness so badly that they were going to send me home. The minute I got off the plane, I was so sick. And it ended up being, I was in a hotel room. I missed the first day. Well, I went to breakfast and I was just feeling rough. And the man who was serving, funnily enough, had spent time in London, in the place that I went to university, and we were chatting. And he was like, you don't look great. Can I suggest some coca tea? And so I had 2 cups of cocaine tea, which was my first time having cocaine tea, did nothing. He bought me a coffee and I just started vomiting. It was so bad. I spent the
Whoa.
whole day, first day in this hotel room, couldn't even move. And then
Oof.
it got to the point where they called an ambulance and there was a doctor and a nurse came in. I don't speak Spanish. And the head of keto tourism was in the room. The hotel manager was in the room. And I'm laying face down on the bed. They lift up my skirt, my ass on display to the world, and they jab something into each ass cheek and they give me tons of meds and whatever. They cured my altitude sickness. But that was my first day
Yeah.
in Ecuador because they were like, we can send you home. And I'm like, it took so long to get here. I don't
I
want to
want
go
to
home.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bad. But
God.
then, okay, but then that day we went and did this walk-in tour. Like I was feeling up to it, and we went into this market, this public market, and I noticed there was like all these booths along the side, and I asked our guide what that was, and they were like, they were the like healers, and they all had little booths. And they were really skinny. It was like a 6 foot wide storefront with the candles and ingredients and stuff. And
Hmm.
then there was like a list of the services they provided. And the guide said, I was like, what do they do there? Well, he said, you see that little boy? He gets nightmares. So they're healing him to try and get the nightmares out. He said, but for $7, they'll cleanse your soul and get you ready for love. And I was like, what?
Nice.
$7? That sounds
Yeah.
okay.
I'll give it a shot.
And at the time I was single and I was like, yeah, shoot, why not? And then I went and got healed by this woman. So basically behind a shower curtain at the back of her little booth, she didn't speak English. I didn't speak Spanish. She told me to undress. She suggested undressing. So I undressed and then I put my underwear back on because I was like, she can't have meant everything, right? Like, anyway, put my underwear back
Right.
on. There's like a picture of Velvet Jesus on the wall and she comes in with these like bunches of herbs. It smelled amazing, and starts beating me with them. And I'm
Nice.
saying prayers all over me, and then gets me to turn around and beats me again. She sprays me with, I don't know what, holy water, sanitizer, I don't know what it was. And anyway, but like I had this healing done, and it was amazing. And I walked out there and I actually felt so much better. Like it cured the altitude sickness. But so that became the focus of my story. It was this all this spiritualism that's just there on the
Yeah.
surface,
Yeah.
you know. And I went to a couple of churches and people were crying while they were praying. It was like very, very moving for somebody who doesn't have that belief.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, long answer there.
No apologies. No apologies. Okay, so like you're on these
Oh shit, I should finish
what?
that story.
No.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, okay.
The whole thing
Yeah.
that made the story for me is when we went to a lunch afterwards, and we were telling the guides, everyone had a guide and like a translator, and I told the guide what happened. And he goes, "Oh, did they use a guinea pig?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Did they use a guinea pig?" And he goes, "Well, so what they do is they'll hold the guinea pig, and the guinea pig will take all the bad energy from your body, and it goes into the guinea pig." And then I said, "They don't eat it afterwards, do they? They don't eat the bad energy guinea pigs." And he wouldn't tell me. And anyway, but like I thought that was the whole thing. It was just that capped the story off, the fact that they'd use bad energy guinea pigs and then
And wait, who would eat? Like you? Would you in that scenario eat your own guinea pig, or would the
I
healer?
don't know. I had an opportunity to eat. Yeah, I had an opportunity to eat guinea pig and didn't. I didn't want to eat guinea pig. Actually, I think I had a guinea pig spring roll at some fancy restaurant.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you did. I mean, really, it's like half the things we eat are cute too, if you really think about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, if you eat animals, you eat animals, right? Like
yeah, it's all how you season
can't discriminate.
It's all in the seasoning, you know.
Exactly.
Amazing. Okay, so like, so you're out there having these experiences, sometimes nauseous and incapacitated, and like, tell me a little bit about your writing ritual. At what point, like, are you writing while you're people watching, scribbling in notebooks?
Yeah, so basically I always have a little notebook. I think I have one here. Okay, so I always have these little moleskin notebooks, and you'll see like my destinations.
What's that, like 4x6?
Yeah, just like a little notebook, and like I'll have like Calgary, Nayarit, Copenhagen, Saskatoon is this notebook, and I just keep my notes, and I might glue in some menus or things, and I take a lot of notes and try to evoke like the feelings and the smells and the kind of details that you're just not going to always remember afterwards. And I take a lot of pictures, and not just pictures to use, which I do sell my photographs as well, because there's so few budgets anywhere that they basically want you to provide photos to. But I take a lot of photos as a reminder of what I'm doing and what I saw. So, yeah, so I'm constantly taking notes, because there has been times when I've gone back and rewritten a story, or an editor's asked me to write about a place, and it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And so I have to go back and check my notes. You just couldn't remember everything.
Yeah, totally. So what kind of things are you travel a lot and for work and pleasure. What kind of things are like I must travel with this? Like I have, I got my special lip gloss. I mean, as an example, or like,
yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
No, that's totally okay. I'm trying to think now of what kind of things I travel with that are like.
So I have a kit, right? I have a kit of stuff. I have a bag, like almost like a go bag for travel. And I have little things that I always have with me. I always take a pair of swimming goggles because I love to swim wherever I am.
Yeah.
If there's a hotel pool or a lake or anything, like I always have swimming goggles in my bag. I used to take a snorkel as well. But I did a lot of Caribbean travel before COVID, and now I haven't done so much of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I take swimming goggles. I have a bag of things like little Tide sachets for washing stuff in hotel sinks because I'm really clumsy. And, if I haven't already spilled coffee on myself on the plane to get somewhere, you can guarantee something else is going on my clothes.
You're a mess.
And I do try to pack light. And then I have a little drug kit, like a little kit I got off Pocket Pharmacy. So I'm well prepared because I don't want to be spending tons of money on stuff I don't need to spend money on. I have this neat little clip thing that clips onto the back of the seat tray so you can put your iPhone on and watch movies. Oh. I just have little accessories. I'll send you the link. It's good.
Yeah,
I saw some with it and they bought one. Yeah, so I have little things I always take. But yeah, always a swimsuit. You never know when you're going to find a pool or a hot tub or a lake.
Do
Yeah.
you do the thing where, like, I always pop 2 Advil before I get on the plane? If I'm on a long flight, I'll take 2 before which helps with the pressure in my ear, like inflammation around my ears. And yeah,
No,
no?
I don't have that in my ears though. I do well. Okay, you're supposed to take a paracetamol, like, or like a little, what is it, aspirin, before you go on a plane for blood thinners, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think I had a stroke after a flight in my eye, like
Oh, when was
10 years
that?
ago.
There's so
Like ten
much
years
health
ago.
stuff with you. Sometimes I'm like, I honestly forget. 'Cause I'm like, what now? What is
Well, okay,
going
so like
on?
I had like blurry vision. I got to London and I'd flown the red eye and my vision was blurry and then it didn't get better. And I went to see my optician when I got home to Canada and she was like, oh, you had basically a stroke in your eyeball. And it's just like the blood vessel burst in your eye. And it didn't
Mm.
happen at the front, so you couldn't see it. It was kind of at the back. And then when they couldn't find any reason why this had happened, and there were dehydration and the pressure. So you should take aspirin before you get on a plane, but I never remember. I also bought some of the compression socks as well.
Oh yeah, I have some of those. I don't wear them, but I
No, I bought
should
a pair,
though,
but
I
yeah, I bought
guess.
them. I probably wore them for the first flight I bought them for.
What do they do again? Like they're just kind of
Stop
compress
you having
your.
deep vein thrombosis.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Mm,
so you don't have a blood clot that travels up your legs to your heart.
all right. Yeah.
We should wear them, right? Like
Yeah,
that
we
sounds
should wear
like we
them.
don't want that.
Yeah. No, I don't
Yeah.
want that. That sounds bad. And yeah. Okay, I'm gonna wear 'em. I have a trip coming up, so I'll have to.
Yeah, you should.
I
You
do
should.
have them. They're actually quite comfy, to be honest.
Yeah, right? Like I think people wear them because they give them relief. I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, you mean older people? Like, I know people who have like
I I
uh
think like our age older, not
our
like
age.
old.
We're I mean like or like people who have like severe varicose veins. Isn't that a
Yeah,
thing
sure.
that they okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not a specialist in any of this, so moving on.
I think that's because we don't have jobs where we have to stand up for hours and hours. Like maybe if we'd worked in
Yeah,
retail for the last 25 years, we'd be wearing those socks every day.
maybe.
Mhm.
You know what? I tried to work in retail. I never got hired.
Really?
Never got hired. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I've almost every job that I've tried to get, I've never gotten. Like I just like the good jobs I've loved have been like a friend's like, you should go apply for this, and I'd be like, whatever, and then or like were like felt like they were handed to me like a gift from
Yeah.
God. Um,
What's the
which
worst
is
job you ever did?
I would say the door-to-door sales job I did for 2 weeks where I was selling lube
2 weeks.
packages. 2 weeks specifically felt like 2 fucking years. And I would
Yeah.
go door to door and by myself often, asking people if they would buy lube jobs for 19.99. And it taught me a lot. Like it helped me kind of get over
No,
any,
you never wanted to do it ever again.
yeah, that, but also like how to kind of just, it was a low. I felt like it was a low, part in my, like a desperate, just like I need money. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I just really hope I'm never in this position again where I need money that bad, and so that was not a fun one. What about you?
Yeah. So I used to like when I was I'm gonna say I was like 16 and I was living on my own and desperate for money, and I would work in pubs and do stuff which you shouldn't have been able to do at 16, but in the UK, as you know, nobody really cared. And maybe they do now. But I had this job like doing catering for this like the stadium where I lived, like the concert venue, and it would
Yeah.
only ever be like people like late career people, like people who come to Nova Scotia to play concerts. So it would be like Kiss or I don't know, like some of the rock stuff we'd see like Extreme and I don't know. And anyway, so this guy would bring me in occasionally to help with catering. And one day he had me making guacamole. I had never seen an avocado. I didn't know what an avocado was. So I
Uh-oh.
had to be taught to, because this was a long time ago. And I was basically spent hours cutting and mashing avocados, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. Anyway, I also didn't realize who was playing, who had requested all this in their catering. And so I spent the day basically, or like all morning making guacamole. And then before I finished the shift, like the artist came to thank the kitchen and he shook my hand and said, thank you so much for your contribution. and I didn't know who it was. And now I don't resent it because it was a hard job and I think my hands hurt, but it was John Denver.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and then he died, I think, a few months later.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was a
Jeez.
shitty job. Like just doing any
Yeah.
catering job where you're doing stuff en masse, but you're the bottom of the pile and you're the person who peels the potatoes or does
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah,
It's kind of
that's a
rough.
slot. I've done serving and I did ushering at the Metro Center in
Okay.
Halifax, where you're basically like you got people working there for 40 years and they're so passionate about ushering and they're like getting on your back about everything and where you need to stand and how you need to stand and what you need to wear and where you need to be and you're just like, "Oh my God, this is I do not get paid enough to fucking
Yeah.
care as much as you do about this." Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't
Bar
know.
jobs, catering jobs, anything like that. And then like, the sexual assault you suffer as a young woman working in those kind of jobs too. It's just insane.
I gotta say, I was lucky enough not to have any that experience with the lube job, oddly enough, or my usher position. But yeah, but there's certainly other careers where I've definitely experienced that, and of course in my personal life, I don't know any woman who has not. To be honest, I don't think I know one woman who hasn't experienced like sexual something
Yeah,
negative. Like I mean,
I remember during Me Too hearing a couple of women saying that had never happened to them. And I'm like, how the fuck?
wow,
Like, how do you
lucky.
go through
I
your whole
mean,
life? Like, because I think from as soon as I started looking like a woman, and even maybe before that, I was,
yeah,
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 people were being gross.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Um, and in some, it's weird to think this is not. This is going to sound weird, but I don't care because it's my podcast, so I could say whatever I want. But like I'm as a young, I was a young girl when I experienced my first sexual assault, which was my father, and to think of who I would be now, what my life would be like had I never experienced like any of that and any of my own, any of my trauma and like worked on it and dealt with it and blah blah blah, dealing with always probably like it's in some ways it's sort of like, well, I mean, like I really like who I am now. I really like what it's given me
Yes.
in some ways. So it's sort of like weird to think of the shitty things that happen in your life, but it's helped me to think of shitty things in my life and how they have you know how
Yeah. I
they
mean,
have
the thing is, the resilience that you have, and, we've discussed this before, and I was raped twice before I was 18. Like, it's just assaulted many times. And it's just, I'd rather those things hadn't happened. And I can see how
yeah
some people might have been taken down forever by that stuff, but you did get through it and you were resourceful enough to recognize you need the help to get through it. But it's just a shitty situation that no young woman should ever have to deal with, but is incredibly common.
yeah it is. I definitely like I had spider senses develop pretty darn quickly after being a child and having, I guess, lived
Yeah.
that, even though you kind of forget about it because you're living with your family and you have to kind of like just like survive and you don't want to be miserable and you love this person, blah blah blah. Those spider senses have helped me throughout my life and in the music business and in my just in all kinds of scenarios where bad shit could have happened, but
Yeah.
I mean, I always kind of was, naive in some ways, but like, I think I was a lot less naive than I maybe give myself credit for, and just made sure I was looked after myself and never stayed in situations where I felt there was an ounce of danger or I didn't trust somebody. You know what I mean? But
Also, we both launched and went out into the world fairly young, right? Like
well,
you were
you were
kind of
younger. Wait,
fearless.
how old were you? I was like, I graduated high school and then went to university at the kind of normal, typical 17-year-old, 18 maybe.
Yeah,
What about
17,
you?
18, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we were young.
Also, I I left home. I was kicked out of home before my 16th birthday. I think it was like a couple of months before my 16th birthday. And then I was living on my own from then. And so that's why a lot of shitty things happened to me. There was no parental supervision from just before my 16th. And then I, like I moved to London on my own, and I tried to, I took some time, and then I did go to university. I got into university, and it was not easy, but I definitely have this ability to cut and run and move from situations, maybe more than some people can. And
yes,
maybe some people get stuck a lot longer in things they shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
I mean, not like I'm perfect, and I've definitely had relationships I should never have stayed in. But I think that you develop this self-preservation thing when you have to do things young, maybe.
Yeah, you got to adapt. You got to move. You're surviving. You also in your lowest moments, like, did you find in your low moments you kind of become a little fearless because you're kind of like,
what the fuck is there else to lose?
Yeah,
right? You just have to
yeah,
absolutely. Like, it's interesting because my brother said to me a couple of years ago when some nice stuff happened financially, and my brother said to me, I'm so happy for you. You've had such a hard life. And I was like, oh, me? Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But my life was, I feel like it's not, I don't know that it's been a hard life. It's been an interesting life, right? Like, but that wouldn't have been the word I would choose, a hard life. Like,
Well, probably because you've always found a way to make things work, but from him, he's watching you, you get kicked out and have,
failed marriages, single parenthood.
It's a lot of
all these things.
Exit and loss events. Like, and those are the, they can make you, they can liberate you for sure. But there's a stress there that and maybe you learned, which I did too, like I don't like stress. Like, I actually spend a lot of time trying to like not have drama in my life. I don't have I don't think I have any drama, to be honest. It's pretty boring, but in a good way, I think. But when something devastating happens, it's like my whole life I've sort of been preparing too, like for it, hypervigilant in some ways. So I actually deal with things really well. Like, if for some reason,
I feel like I do too.
Yeah,
I've definitely had the complaint from, so my husband will say, like, you're not able to let anyone take care of you. You cannot let people, you won't ask for help. You don't do that. But like, I think that's just the way I've always been, because that's what I had to do. I just had to take care of myself. Right. So it does maybe make me harder to be with.
I think you're great. I'd be with you. I mean, I'm not into women.
In a heartbeat. If we weren't both like married or like, and we were lesbians.
As long as you don't want to have sex with me, because I'm not like super into women in that way. But
so if both our husbands die, and then I get rid of my children, we could just cohabit and have one of those like lavender marriage situations, except we're not gay.
I might have now. You know how like you're gonna have. I've not lived with you, but are you like I like to keep things tidy. Are you going to be a mess?
Yeah, well, I'm not. If I didn't have children, I wouldn't be a mess.
I mean, I guess I could do that. I guess we could have an agreement. If you're like, you're doing this,
you just be the cleaner.
You be the cleaner, and I'm responsible for this other stuff you don't want to do, like start keeping the fire going and taking the garbage out, and we can make an agreement. Yeah, this cohabitation thing. God forbid my husband does die, because I don't ever want him to. But I would consider not remarrying for sure, but cohabitating with people. I
don't think I want to. I think if this marriage ended, I don't know that I need another marriage or another big cohabitation with somebody.
But would it be nice to have like just someone you really got along with and could share dinners with, like a duplex kind of situation, or like
or like basically a commune.
Yeah. I think that's
right,
cool.
Like a commune, but just your friends, and like you're all aging together, and I like the idea of that.
I do too, and I would be keen to like be on the activities committee. Like,
oh my god, you're so funny! Everyone up at 5, hike.
Yeah, totes. What do you mean? You're the one who's getting people up at 5 to see the fucking sunrise.
No, I go on my own. Nobody ever wants to do this shit with me. It's always me on my own. I'll be like the lone gringo on a trip, and like I'm even like
I would do it.
Like don't go out of the hotel on your own. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. It's like,
Now,
I just want to be out there.
now that I'm getting into this trusted house and pet sitters thing as a way of traveling, this is new for me.
Yeah.
I would love to find a place that we both want to go together to pet sit a cat or something, so we can have an adventure
cats,
together.
Yes,
I think it'd be good. I would get up at 5 to do that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like I have friends that would do that, but generally I'm on these trips on my own or with a group of people I don't know, which is weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But people generally don't. It's so funny though, because I'll do these things, right? And I'll be the one who gets this unique thing about a place, because I'll do research before I go, and I want to find as many stories as possible about somewhere. Like if I'm taking a week out of my life, selling one story on a place doesn't usually make it worthwhile, especially because they don't pay that much, right? Like travel stories in newspapers, maybe you'll get $500 for a story, but for a week of my life, that's not like enough.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of research beforehand, and that's why I'm so gung-ho and I fit as much in. But not everyone gives a shit like that. They just want to do their one story. They're on staff somewhere. They don't need to work so hard.
So I
just want to see everything.
You want to see everything, but then you're also, correct me if I'm wrong, collecting more, you're kind of doing more research in the event that you could pitch another story and sell that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Well, yeah, there's been places I've gone to where I've sold 5 stories or even more. Like I went to Curacao. I've been to Curacao twice. I really love Curacao. And the second time I went, I had kind of these ideas about what I wanted to do. And I came back and I sold so many stories because I'd had different angles I was pursuing there. So, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Are there writing cliches that you're like, you actually use, to your benefit in your writing, or that drive you bonkers? Like would you use like cliches like a hidden gem steeped in history, or like off the beaten path?
Oh my God. And it's so hard not to use that stuff, right? It's so hard because that is what everybody knows it. Yeah. It's so hard not to do that. But I remember reading the thing, like some edit, like, so occasionally you'll get like editors, they'll give you a sheet of the things they do and don't want to see in a story, or like their like code for the magazine. And I remember seeing one as like, I never want to see the word verdant again. Verdant is over.
What?
Verdant, like green.
Oh, virgin.
Like the verdant field, the verdant.
Virgin.
No, verdant.
Verdant.
Hang on, Verdent. Right?
Oh, verdant?
Yes.
Well, I've never heard that word, and I would like to see. I just learned it. So
green with grass or other rich vegetation.
But I guess
there was
French.
A period where everybody was just like using this word for everything. The verdant hills.
Really?
The verdant forest.
I've never heard that word before. So this is fucking hilarious. Okay, keep going.
Do you want to know one of my favorite words?
What? Plethora.
Petrichor.
Oh.
No, I like that one too. Petrichor.
Petrichor.
You know what that is?
No idea.
It's the smell of the earth after the rain.
So do you use that?
No, I remember when I was starting out, I try and get these long words into stories. They always got edited out because you're just being pretentious.
Petrichor.
Petrichor is a good word, though.
I could use that in like, I guess no, I couldn't use it in a song, I don't think.
Well, you couldn't rhyme it.
Petrichor, what a bore. No, but it's not. A bore, lore, folklore. Well, you and I are going to write a song sometime. I'm all about like taking my friends, and even if they haven't, like they're not songwriters per se, I do think everybody can write a song. And you're a writer.
It would be hilarious though.
What?
It'd be hilarious if you had my songbook from when I was 13.
Yes, it probably would.
Like, you know what? I used to write songs and the angst.
Anybody's 13-year-old's songbook is probably, but you do have it? Is that still?
No.
I had a journal when I was like that age, and it had in the back, it had all these, when I were to have my own horse, it would have horse names, like 3-4 pages of horse names, and we would Dale and I would laugh and read them from time to time when we were bored. And I lost that journal because I brought it on tour to read at my shows or something, and I can't find it. It had like a Easter rabbit on the front and like a little lock.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Anyway, yeah, you and I are going to write a song together, and we could try to use all those words that you love.
Okay.
I'm gonna wrap it up because like I know you need to get back to healing your hernia and your foot, which is what you're doing.
It's just not even get into this.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it. It's just that you're
I'm a health hazard right now. Yeah.
But you are, and this is gonna be a cliche. I don't care because I have people on here that are inspiring.
Am I a hidden gem?
You're a hidden gem. You're an inspiration. You're off the beaten path, and you have breathtaking views. But seriously, though, you've got grit and grace, and also you've shown that you can make a positive difference in the world by doing something in your community that is seemingly obvious and simple, but nobody else is fucking doing. And with the power of a backpack. And I thank you wholeheartedly for being my friend. I think it's so cool how you I feel like you kind of
I'm so
crashed
glad we met.
into
It
my
was
life.
so random. Yeah.
Yeah, we met in Ingonish and Cape Breton Island.
You and Dale were playing an outdoor concert during COVID, and you and I just started talking, and then you were like texting me, do you want to meet for breakfast? And then we didn't get back in time when you were gone, and then we just started hanging out, and now I love you.
Made it work. I love you too, and I hope that you don't have to have another surgery soon. You're okay. She's okay, everybody. It's love. I don't want to say goodbye to you. Oh, I don't want to say goodbye to you. Welcome to the Heartbeat Hotline, 1-902-669-4769. I'm the host of A Chat with Heart podcast, Christina Martin, and I'm so excited you called. Leave me your question, a suggestion for the podcast, or a comment about this episode. Please be aware your message may be used on the podcast and social media. Tell me your name, where you're calling from, and it's also fine if you want to remain anonymous. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking day. Hey, thanks for listening to A Chat with Heart, produced by me, Christina Martin. Co-produced and engineered by my partner in life and sound, Dale Murray. Dale's not just a wizard with knobs, he's also a killer singer-songwriter, session musician, and music producer. Go snoop around his world at dalemurray.ca. The podcast theme song, Talk About It, and I Don't Want to Say Goodbye to You were written by me and recorded by Dale. Want to support what we do? You can snag CDs, vinyl, digital music, and some weirdly delightful merch like custom puzzles and temporary tattoo packs over on my Bandcamp. If you're into keeping indie art alive or just want good karma, become a monthly or yearly member on my Patreon. It's a platform that helps creators get paid to keep making stuff we love. I swear by it. Sign up, free or paid, at patreon.com/Christina Martin. If this podcast made you laugh, cry, think, or rage text your best friend, do me a solid, share it, rate it, review it, and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And to all my little heartbeat listeners, stay weird, stay tender, and I'll catch you next time.